In the interest of full disclosure, I provided voluntary feedback on Kill the Superweapon and am in communication with the project's developer, Alex Stamos, aka Renegade Sector. In Kill the Superweapon, you play Samantha Kill, a warrior for a feminist insurgency out to stop the military-industrial complex. Your target is the evil Abaddon Corporation, who are in the business of crafting superweapons and perpetuating war eternally. You come equipped with your wits, a laser gun that can bullet jump, and the amazing ability to retain inventory items after dying. All the while, boisterous bosses chase you around each of Abaddon's offices, turning every stage into its own dynamic boss fight. Nothing is told seriously. The title of CEO in Abaddon is Chief Execution Officer, and you go toe-to-toe with the militant roller derby girl and a discount Dracula, among others. To call the cast absurd is an understatement, and their respective levels are just as wild, featuring unique gameplay mechanics. You see, rather than bury you with new abilities at every turn, Kill the Superweapon lets its levels and enemies do the talking, pushing your skills to the limit with a variety of unique challenges. One level might lean heavily into dodging death pits and dispelling spectral opponents, or tiptoeing elaborate catwalks under fire and hopping over robot drones. This is both a blessing and a curse, as Kill the Superweapon's levels range from a breeze to nail-bitingly frustrating depending on your playstyle. Kill the Superweapon is a game that's far better the second time you play it. While there's been laudable post-launch support to address most of the frustrations, you're gonna die. A lot. It's not a roguelike, and there's no progression system outside of unlocking additional stages, save for a late game reward for completing those bonus stages. Instead, Kill the Superweapon is all about running through each level as quickly as possible. It's precisely an N64 mentality, bringing to mind Rogue Squadron 3D, and while that certainly falls in line with Stamos' previous work, this is a sword the game lives and dies by. Bosses can only be killed by collecting a selected number of batteries hidden around each level, with a heavy dose of trial and error when it comes to locating them all. The first time playing can push you to the point of utter furious yelling at the screen because of dying and starting over yet again. Then you come back a couple hours or days later, and it's blissfully simple. It's as easy as breathing. The problem is that getting to that point feels incredibly tedious at times. The sheer speed of everything means that if you hit a rough spot, you aren't going to die, say, once or twice. That wouldn't be so bad. No, it's when you've gone over 10 deaths that you start to scream. When it all clicks, and you're at the top of your game, the gratifying feeling of clearing a stage in one life is immensely satisfying. However, when it's, as I said, past your 10th death and you nearly had a tough run and gun sequence cleared, only to be killed by a random stray bullet, you'll be ready to rip your hair out. Fortunately, Kill the Superweapon does offer some consolations that help ease the struggle. Regardless of how many times you die, all damage dealt to each respective superweapon is retained across every life, so long as you keep playing the level. Similarly, you get to keep all the key cards, ensuring you backtrack as little as possible. This eases a fair bit of tension and is a welcome modernization to this design style. While you only get the bonus stages by completing the main stages without dying, being able to die and retry levels with these mercies ensures that you can later obtain access easily as you'll learn all the reflexes. It's just that this isn't a game you can burn through in a weekend, unless you're super patient or love screaming at your computer screen. Everyone else should take it in small, concentrated doses as prescribed by their doctor. Tight, precise controls are incredibly critical with this sort of experience, and while you can find them with Kill the Superweapon, it takes some effort. After a recent patch, movement is vastly more reliable with the controller, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I still think that a keyboard for movement and a controller for aiming is still the best method possible. With just a keyboard, your aim is limited to 8 directions with the arrow keys, rather than a full 360 degree of motion to fire your gun. However, with a controller, while fighting is easier, you'll find movement is a little bit more slippery, requiring additional restraint. As I said, it's much better now, but still bear this in mind. Similarly, while there's been a healthy dose of patches tuning Kill the Superweapon to an ideal state, there's still some glitches. The worst offender was when the game required a restart to respond to my control inputs, outside of the menu button and the back button, but this only occurred during one play session. I was able to see Kill the Superweapon through to its conclusion, but bear in mind, you might find a few bumps in the road. Let's be fair, it is an indie title after all. Kill the Superweapon is a very hard game to review, because I kind of want to shake its hand and punch it in the face. Its core conceit and execution is superb, exploring a style of gameplay you will struggle to find elsewhere. 3D twin-stick shooters just don't happen that often. However, that doesn't take the bite out of the fact that it really likes to beat you to a pulp before you learn its systems. And while there's some who will jump at the sound of that, others will end up disheartened or rage quitting. After post-launch patches were swiftly applied, many of my original qualms with the game were settled, but it's definitely a niche title, which is why I'm assigning 2 different scores. Each is a recommendation based upon your tolerance for masochism and challenge. If you savor retro gaming sensibilities and want a true test of skills, Kill the Superweapon gets an 8.5 out of 10. On the other hand, if you just want to chill out and have some fun, then, well, Kill the Superweapon gets a 4 out of 10. I hate having to do multiple scores, but in this particular case, I'd hate to deter the wrong audience from this game. And it does have an audience. You just may or may not be a part of them.